Alright, what's up everybody? This is Zach Wood here on Learn AI with me. Going to talk about two tools that I wish I knew sooner. Anybody watching this has probably heard of these tools. I know I've heard of them, but hadn't really leaned into much of it until very recently. So I want to share what I found about them with you. Alright, the two tools are Cursor and FIREBASE Studio. Now, they're very different tools, but they're very similar in a lot of ways too. I had heard of Cursor a whole bunch. It's on all the YouTube people that I subscribe to. It's on all the podcasts that I listen to. But I had thought, because I hadn't done my homework on it, hadn't done my research, but I had thought that it was the same thing as Lovable, Replit, all these no-code software developing platforms where you put in a prompt and it builds you something. Generally, it builds you a bunch of pretty front-end stuff, nice, pretty-looking site with a bunch of trash code in the background where when you go try to change anything, it tears everything apart, falls apart real quickly, and you don't actually build something cool with it. That's not what Cursor is at all. And so we're going to go through that a little bit. The other one that I found is FIREBASE Studio. Now, FIREBASE Studio on the surface looks just about exactly like Lovable and Replit and no-code building softwares like that. And you guys have probably heard me talk before about my experience with Replit's AI agent and how it just does not actually build you something good because it'll just pile code on code on code on code until everything falls apart and you have to start over. And the more that it fails, the more tokens you burn arguing with the AI agent trying to fix stuff that it broke. Super frustrating, costs more money the worse job that it does. Very, very frustrating. I will not be renewing my Replit subscription now that I've found FIREBASE Studio and Cursor. Alright, FIREBASE Studio, let me start with that. Because if you just look up Firebase by Google, you're going to see something very different. They probably should have named these two things a little bit different to help distinction, but they just stuck Studio at the end of Firebase. Firebase is a set of tools by Google that can be implemented and put into the back end of apps and websites, so it can do all kinds of cool stuff. I'm not going to go into what Firebase can do, but it's just something that Google has made that's a bunch of different stuff that can get attached to apps and do a bunch of stuff for your app. FIREBASE Studio, I'm going to show you, and guys, I'm sorry I bought a really, really crappy webcam for this, but I'm going to show you. This is what the FIREBASE Studio landing page looks like when you first get to it and build an account. Again, very, very free, but you would go in here and you would type in what you want, and it's going to actually build out an app and build out a site. There is a paid version of FIREBASE Studio and a paid version of Cursor, but I think the usage limits are so generous that you'd have to really, really be building some stuff to get to the point to have to pay. And if you're building that much stuff, hopefully you're selling some stuff and you can afford that, right? So whole bunch of free usage to get in there and really, really build some stuff. Let me show you Cursor just a little bit, and then I'm going to show you what I've been doing in FIREBASE Studio. So the great thing about Cursor is that you can go in and talk to the little AI agent right down here, and what it'll do is it will actually show you what lines are being changed. It'll show you what lines it's going to delete and what lines it's going to replace them with. All right, so if we go back to this here, I can show you, this is a site that I've been building on FIREBASE Studio. All right, again, my webcam sucks, so you can't really see a whole lot of what's going on here, but each of these little clouds that are floating around right here, these little clouds here, each one of them has a Bible verse in it. All right, so when I go to Cursor and I tell it that I want to change, here, let's see, the Bible verse in the cloud that says she works with her hands, ... And I want that cloud to just say monkeys. All right. Now, I give it a real-time natural language prompt like that. I didn't even write out exactly what it says perfectly in the cloud. You can see I messed up the capitalization. I didn't finish the thing. But right here, it goes in and it shows this red line. It's going to completely delete that line of code, and it's going to give me this green line of code instead. And it gives me the opportunity to accept or decline it. Just for our purposes here, I don't actually want that to say monkeys, so I'm going to decline that. But if I had set it and then I went in here and pushed to Replit, it would go ahead and I could pull it from Replit to FIREBASE Studio and sync those together. That'll be a whole nother video. But in FIREBASE Studio over here, I also have a AI agent that I can talk to, that it'll go in, and it's very, very powerful. All right, so if I don't actually care to see exactly what's happening on the code line by line, and I don't want to go in and accept every little thing, what I can do is I can actually come over here, and there's so many really cool tools to this. And again, I really wish my webcam was better, but there is a button right there. You can't see it, but there's a button where if I select it, I can go in and I can actually select any component that's on this page. And I could go up here, I could tell it that I want this button to move 4 inches to the right. I could say that I want this centered. I could delete this whole header bar. I could move this component to line up with these. Like, you can actually just click on something and describe what you want to happen, and it'll happen right there. And I've tested it, I've used it, it actually works really freaking well. And so FIREBASE Studio, get in and play with it, man. It is so freaking powerful. What I generally like to do is I will have both my screens open right here, and the reason for that is that I will have one of them open. There's a button right over here that says switch to code, and so if I click that, it gives me all the code. This FIREBASE Studio Mama Made Magic, that's the project I'm working on, gives me all the code, gives me all the structure, and I can talk to Gemini right in there, and I can see what's happening. But I can also see a full-size image of what I'm looking at over here. And so it's really helpful to be able to actually look at the visual of the website and see that I want all of these to be blue instead of pink. And so I go in and I can click the actual button, and if I wanted those so I changed them to blue. If I want to change them back to pink, I would click on that and just type in natural language what I want to happen. It'll go in, and if I wanted to, I can see it does show me over here. Again, you probably can't see that, but it does show me what code is being changed. So if I just wanted to go in here to source and then down to components and UI button, I could probably sit here and watch the code being changed as it's happening. Maybe. Anyway, it really doesn't matter if I can. Oh yeah, I just saw a line get deleted out of the code, and now it's going to put a line right back in there, and now all my buttons have turned back to pink over here. So I just watched that happen in the code, and I watched it happen on the actual screen here. Super, super powerful, super useful. There haven't been any reasons that I absolutely needed to other than learning, but what you can do is FIREBASE Studio connects to GitHub very, very easily, and then Cursor connects to GitHub very, very easily as well. So you can be building in sync to GitHub and then switch over to Cursor and sync it and sit there and do whatever you want with the Cursor agent and then push it back over to FIREBASE Studio and go in and do it on there. Again, FIREBASE Studio has really not let me down with much of anything yet. I've been kind of switching back and forth just for the fun of it, just to learn both of them. I think Cursor is a very, very powerful tool, and super, super helpful to really, really see on a line-by-line level what's happening in the code, which I think a lot of people who want to get into vibe coding really kind of miss out on and are just like, who cares what it's doing? I just want the result. Well, if you can learn what it's doing and why it's giving you the result, that's way more foundational. And so that's what I've been doing. Y'all get on FIREBASE Studio, build something. Man, if there's anybody watching this, leave me a comment. Just say, hey, give me some ideas of what you'd like to see on here, and I'll do my best. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'm new to the content creation, trying my hand at this YouTube stuff, hoping that this is useful to somebody. Let me know, and let's connect, let's chat, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, so adding this to the end of that video. As you can see in the background of my living room, we've had a bunch of kids over, so there were forts made and all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the living room. But I realized before I signed off, I talked a whole lot about Cursor and how to use it, and talked about putting in git commands and things like that in the terminal. When you first open up Cursor, it can be super intimidating and look like it's not beginner friendly whatsoever. In the description of this video, I'm going to put a link to a video that I watched by a guy named Corbin Brown, who did an excellent job about making a video, and he's made a bunch of really, really good stuff about AI for beginners and stuff. If you're not following Corbin Brown, definitely follow him. I'm going to put a link to his stuff in the description of this video, specifically the video on how to use Cursor, and he does an excellent job if you're like me, where you've been sitting here fighting with this stuff for a few months, and so you kind of understand a little bit about code, but you're still not a trained software developer or anything. Some of it will be over your head, some of it will seem a little more basic to you. If you're a complete beginner, he'll tell you just do this right now, and by the end of the video it'll make sense, and by the end of the video it does make sense. So anyway, I'm going to put a link in the description for that. Let's see, we went pretty in depth in FIREBASE Studio. I'd recommend using that a lot for whatever you want to build. If you've got any ideas that you're looking to build with somebody, you're looking for somebody just to bounce ideas off of, guys, I promise anybody who's commenting on here, I am definitely not too busy to respond back to my 1 or 2 followers. So anyway, that link will be in the description, and I'll see you next week.